All right, guys. So, yeah, that came out okay. A little bit warping again on the corners, one particular corner. So back to 230 at 70. Yeah, this corner where my mouse is starting to warp a little bit, even with the brim settings, 4 millimeters. Um, so we'll do a little bit more testing, but you've got to expect with these thin sections to get a little bit of warping. I'll experiment as I go on to get the optimal settings, but yeah, she's came up pretty good otherwise. All right, so let's just pre-warm everything up. This will obviously get up to 70 a little bit more, so just get the bed up to temperature. It's ready to go. Um, I've added a couple of add-ons. This is a sort of side bar GUI. It's up in the marketplace. There's a few little add-ons which I've been sort of experimenting with. So I'll let you have a look what's under the community plugins, but I quite like it. Plus the tool tips and the other bits and bobs you can get from up here. It just allows you to so these are the installed ones. So we've got auto orientation, and there's zillions of them. Mesh tools, so add several mesh analysis tools. They sit under your extensions tab up under here, so you can analyze your extensions. Octoprint, print settings, add print settings to the sidebar. I quite like that one. It's obviously an update there, just must have come in recently. So let's go back up. Settings guide. So on what setting and how to use them. So it's from Ghostkeeper. I'll probably update that one then whilst we're here. The sidebar GUI provides an alternate interface which restores in the sidebar. So this is the sidebar and it moves this bit that's normally tucked, I think up here to there. I quite like it because then you've got a big build plate sort of view. Title info, so you get your part up on the top. So you can see what you're printing. What else? I think they're the main ones then. Yeah, so this is sliced, ready to go. Again, no top and bottom layers. 230 on the head, 70 on the bed, 102 on the flow. I've upped the speed to 55. I'm going to go and read up on extrusion multiplier. Is the next thing I'm going to have a look at. And I'll probably explain that in the next session. This little sidebar GUI has this little custom switch, so you can switch it on and off. Yeah, I quite like that as well. So it's got all the usual kind of stuff. Plus you can obviously manage your visibility settings, all that kind of stuff you'd see. But I quite like the way that it's this what do they call this? I see the radar or laser, X-ray it's called, isn't it? It's quite like that. And then the ability just to zoom down to look at all your different layers. I've turned off, I think, shell, but yeah, you can sort of either have the shell on or turn the shell off. Various ones you can play around with under here. So that's good to go to Octoprint. Extensions are quite useful. The mesh tools, so check your models, fix simple holes. It's a bit like NetFab. Might well use NetFab. I don't know what engine it's using to do the repairs. Fix model normal, split model into parts. Obviously the 3DLabs technology is using, they basically draw an outline at the bottom, an outline at the top, and then obviously there's a curve that comes in here when they're drawing this and modeling it, and a couple of curves at the back. This is where the ailerons are going to sit. And then they put spars across, they insert the spars in, and the reason they do that is so that they get a shell which is consistent and a full mesh, but then the inner pieces are detached, they're decoupled. So they create these separately and they just slot them in. If you were to separate this into parts, as I've shown in my Prusa videos, then this shell you could drag to the left and you'd have these spars. So they create these sections to give it the stiffness. And previous ones they were using had like a circle in the middle, but this one's even more elegant because it's using a kind of truss between a rib, and so it's using less material than using, and I think the head probably travels less far because this is moving in straight lines. Obviously here it's moving a little bit, but if it's having to draw circles all the time in here, it's probably wasting, well, it obviously is wasting material. So this is actually a more elegant way to put these materials in. These are separate, and these do not mesh with the outer skin, so there's no point in trying to check the model because it'll come up with 14 or so, how many other elements there are in here that are loose, and saying that they're loose, and they are, and they're intended to be so. But the clever thing about the 3DLabs is because they get the outer skin very close to the inner section, it welds itself to that inner section when they're filling it in. So that's how they sort of model this stuff. And lots of people are copying that concept as well. It's quite a useful way to actually do your design process. Auto orientation, I won't enable this. The only thing I will do with this, I think, is just rotate it around a little bit and then reslice it. So we'll just go for 45 degrees and then we'll reslice it. And don't forget, this little lay flat feature is quite useful. I'm not going to lay flat this object, but it means it does lay onto the bed properly. But the trick with this is that when you come all the way down to the bottom, I must check I've got a brim on this. Actually, I don't think it has. I didn't think it had. Let's go back to brim. Yeah, that's fine. And we want 4mm. That's better. Yeah, I had another part up here. There you go. So now I can see the brim, which is good. So all the way down to the bottom. So I'm using quite a thick brim, purposely to try and maintain the bottom surface to the bed without it curling up on the edges here and here. So you get a little bit of pulling as the material contracts, as it cools. It tends to pull on the outer edges, and the reason it's doing that is because these are very thin walls, and the only thing holding that wall in situ is the brim. If I were to put a bottom layer in, of course that would stop that, but then again I wouldn't have the hollow section. I need to dovetail the next section in, so can't really have that. What might be nice actually is to have an inner brim, but I don't know whether that's easy to do, and then just cut the inner brim out, so flick it out, because the brim is supposed to be detachable. That's the only way I could think you would help stop the warping. All right, so we'll send that off to Octoprint, and yeah, we'll see how we get on, see how that one comes out. Catch you later, guys.